Hello, hello, hello. I am still kind of figuring out what I want to do right now, but I got a quilt top done the other day. Yesterday, I finished that. Not yesterday. Yesterday, wait, what was I doing? How did I do this again? Yesterday, today's what? Oh my God, what is Sunday? Sunday, I finished my quilt top. No, yeah. Sunday, I finished my quilt top around 4:30 in the morning. I did a quilt top using scraps. I think you guys have seen it. Just a second. Just a second. Oh wait, I don't gotta do that. I am certainly overworking. I've been here for 2 seconds and I'm already overworking this. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Well, you guys are seeing it on the let me just do the thing. Do 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 do. No. No. Well, what the hell? There we go. Let's share that. Let's share that just for a second. I just want to show you guys where I'm at right now. I love upbeating you guys. I just love talking. So it's like, let's see where we're at. Share screen. Share that. Come back to that. Add the two of me. Okay, so that's the quilt top that I just did. Now, that picture is just the top. I draped it over the bed so I could verify that it was going to, I wanted to verify the size, because if I didn't like the size, you can always make a quilt bigger, or you can trim it down and make it smaller, right? So once I got this part done, I draped it over the bed to go, okay, I'm happy with it this size. That's a double size bed, right? I draped it over the bed and I decided to take the picture then. So I got that done. What I've done since then is just get done here. Now we can go do the other. Now we can pick up where we left off. Oh, and hello, Linda. Yeah, I'm fixing supper and may hear some and then watch later. That's fine. Watch, don't watch. I just appreciate having a space where I can just go and make noise and not sit here in a quiet room all by myself. So this is where I'm at right now. Let's take that out. How do I stop? There we go. Now I got to put everything back normally, because so that is what the top looks like, because you're not going to see it today. You're not really going to see it today. What I've done since then is I've got this folded up. Okay, I cannot film. I cannot have my computer stuff set up and still have space to do this piece. This is the quilt. It's done. It's not done. I've got this. This is a little. That looks like my screen is showing it a bit more of a aqua blue, and this is a lot. This is a darker blue. Let's see. Let's see if I can shift the camera and get it better. No, it's not quite the right shade. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, now it is. Now it's closer. Anyway, lighting and whatnot, right? So what I've done is I'm going to carefully dig my way in. Oh, that's because it's got. So what I did was I took the top that I already had. I decided on a big piece of batting. This is not quilted. This is going to be self-binding, but it's not the quilt as you go style. So I've got my batting I've got my batting, and then in there somewhere, there it is the quilt top. Barely, you're just seeing the dark edge there. So I got this all laid out. Hi, Michelle. So I've gotten this all laid out and pinned, and it's ready to go. but I can't do this. Hi, Stevie. I cannot do, okay, I can definitely do this. I can do this, obviously, but with the camera, I've got what? I've got a camera, a laptop, and I've got my my microphone set up. So with what I've got set up over here, this is too big to work on without wrecking this shit. So I'm not going to be working on this on camera, but this is the backing that I just this is the exact this is the leftover of the backing that I just showed you. That's already pinned on. I'm going to make a pillow out of this. So, oh, there we go. Well, just a minute. Let me just see if I can do this. Can I do this? No. Jesus, fuck. Sorry. I'm in a mood. Today. I have multiple accounts too, Stevie, so I know exactly what it's like. You're like, oh, it's like, so what I'm going to do though, since I know it's you, I'm going to give both of your accounts a band hammer. Because, whoa, I'm going to turn that off just in case. Do. There. Now you have 2 moderator accounts. I know what it's like. You're like, I have. Oh, my knee is back to normal now. My knee does not hate me anymore. We've had a couple. We're still doing some shitty weather, but this is kind of the funny thing. Is that shitty weather is fine, but it's not when it's rapidly changing weather. That's when I just get weather affected, and it pisses me off to no end. So anyway, so the top is done. It's pinned. I just have to lay it out and start sewing. But I can't come on and hang. I don't have enough space to work on that and hang out with you guys at the same time. But I do have to make a pillow. Yeah, what are the chances of that? I've got 2 accounts. It's actually kind of common. I started off. I've got like every channel that you have has to have its own account. So Tarot, Etsy, this. I've got 3. I was double check. Anyway, I'm making a pillow today. I'm making a pillow, and I'm kind of making 2 pillows at the same time because you can just. Why is it all hating? Oh, that's why. Here we go. Yeah, I hate having the algorithm being weird. So that this is just for sewing stuff, and the other one is for Tarot and Dr. Mike. Exactly. There's if you're relatively active on social media, especially if you have a channel, or if either you're really active or you're running a channel. But yeah, if I'm over on my Etsy channel, which I started life going, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to say about Etsy. Might as well make a channel, put my stuff up. I haven't posted on that channel I haven't even logged into that channel for a long time, just simply because I said everything I need to say, right? But when I'm on that channel, all the recommendations are all Etsy stuff. Etsy this, Etsy that. And then you just don't, and then because the algorithm just likes to think for you, and I don't like that. Anyway. But if anybody has a reason, for wanting or needing multiple accounts and would like to be moderated on both accounts on this channel, I don't fucking care. I know who all you guys are. So, and aside from basic moderating, which so far we haven't needed to worry about, aside from basic moderating, being if you are not a moderator and try to share a link, it won't post. Which way did I go? That's right. Okay, sorry, something popped up, and I want to make sure I hadn't screwed up. If you're not a moderator and you try to post a link, it won't post. But if you are a moderator, your links will post, which is to me the bigger benefit. Anyway, so basically this is all my leftover. This is going to be the back, but what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm trying to avoid right now. I've got my ironing board behind me. I kind of set up a little command center back here. So I've got my ironing board ready to go behind me. so that I can iron as I go. So this makes it fun. So now I'm ironing with, you know, 400 freaking degree iron going in the background. I'm going to make a mini version. I had a fabric delivery today and it had soft shell fabric in it. I want everything I owned to now be made of it. You got another delivery on the way too. We put that stuff in the mail the other day. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to do the other one. The other one has got strips of this separated by strips of black. Let's get it. So strips of this separated by strips of black this way and that way, right? So yeah, I sent Stevie a little extra because I know you sell some of your stuff. So it's like, well, here's some extras. That way you can make a little cash too. But yeah, I got everybody who wanted a bundle got a bundle of fabric, and one person said they wanted swearing fabric, and I didn't notice until it was too late. So basically, I'm going to do the same thing on this. I don't know if I'm going to separate it with the black or if I'm going to separate it with the blue because the pillow, I don't know if I want the pillow to be the exact, I want the same style, but I don't know if I want the black on the front of the pillow. But anyway, this is going to be the pillow. Yes, it's going to match. This is going to match the blanket is basically what's happening. This is going to match the blanket. This is the back of the blanket. This is the back of the blanket. The front of the blanket is just strips, random strips. Each section of strips is separated by this is the color in the photos that I was showing. This is like, hey Kaz, in the photos that I was showing, this is the black that I used. So it's still a black blender. I should just leave that open. Let me go over here a second. Let me grab Kaz here. Pardon me. I'm just going to quietly like do a little stealth burping. It'll be fine. There we go. There, I got Kaz too. Close that. I don't like it all running. Okay, so here I got you moderator now too, Kaz. That way, if you need to share, we've only ever had one actual problem on this channel, so I'm not concerned about that. But that way you guys can share links, and if there ever is a problem, anyway. So yeah, the front on this one is the multicolor strips that I made, separated by strips of this one, and that's what the front is. And then this is the back. And the same self-binding that I do on Quilt As You Go, I'm going to do for the quilt. So this is going to be the back, and then it's going to fold around to the front and be the binding as well. But I've got a huge, I used a, I grabbed this might not have been the best match, but I grabbed this one because it's a single piece. It's wide back for making quilts. So it's like, well, I've got wide back. I need to use some, right? So now I've got this giant long strip. I'm going to turn it into at least one pillow. I've got these strips here that I haven't used. I rejected these. I rejected these strips. I'm just going to take a quick look because some of these I might want. No, I don't think I want to keep any of these because I separated everything with black. I tried to avoid using black. A wide back is a piece of fabric. A wide back is literally a piece of fabric. So instead of being 42 inches wide, they're usually about 84 inches wide. So they're double folded on the bolt. But then when you, instead of having to sew two pieces together to make the back of a quilt, you just have one single solid piece. It's basically for quilt backing. But they're called. You can get 60. Oh God. Help me here. 64, 90, 86, and 108. They come in different sizes, and I've got that just used up the last of this wide back. That just used up the last of this particular blue wide back. I've still got the blue and that one blue and pink one that I showed that I bring out sometimes. That's also wide back. Let me see what I got going on here. Come on. Why don't I see that? Thought I just saw. Oh, cool. Cass says, cheers, I mod a lot on Twitch in case you ever want to multi-stream. I don't think I would multi-stream. I'm just literally hanging out here. Where's Linda? There's Linda. It's like I don't see Linda here. There we go. We've only ever had one modding. There was only ever one issue that needed to be modded. But it's like if I'm gonna make some of you guys a mod, I might as well. If I once I get to know you, I will make you a mod. We have never had except for that one time, and we scared the person away. We have never actually required moderating in the account in this channel, but you get to share links and stuff. Ooh, making eggs. There's not a shit ton of perks to being a moderator, but if something comes up and you want to post a link, you can. So, I mean, I'm not going to mod, and it's no offense to anybody. Some of you guys I know better than others. There was a few people that I modded like almost immediately, and then there's a few other people that it was like, at first I was like, I don't know if, it's like, oh, well, I know that person, they'll be a mod no matter what. Then it's like, oh, I'm not sure if this person wants to be a mod. Yeah, we scared someone away. Somebody came in under the name Tarot Destroyer. And it's like, oh, somebody came in under the name Tarot Destroyer. See, every single one of these, I either don't, or it's got too much black on it. And I want to stick with the bright colors. So this stuff, I think I can't see a single piece that I'm like, oh, I should have used that. I'm going to save that. I'm just putting it there to get it out of the way for another project because I've got this stuff here. So making my pillow top. Making my pillow top is going to be easy, but at the same time, it's not going to be as big. So I don't think I want super wide pieces. So, oh, thank you. So I don't want super wide pieces. So I think I'm going to look for some narrow. I'm going to look for some narrow pieces, but like this piece is nice and bright. This piece is nice and bright. So there's a ruler. I got a ruler. Anyway, yeah, somebody came in named Tarot Destroyer, and now I'm not paying attention, whatever, but I've had this channel for a while. I'm going to make this narrower. So I'm just going to trim that off. Don't forget, when you're working with scrap projects and you want them to look scrappy, don't be afraid to make them wonky. Make the odd one wonky if your fabric isn't already wonky. Making the odd one wonky on purpose just adds to the intention of, oh, this isn't supposed to look perfect, right? Now, obviously, it's the opposite. If you're trying to make it look perfect, then pay attention to when it goes wonky. Yeah, that'll be a lot more fun. Put these two together. So I am just making a pillow. I'm repeating the design for the pillow. But I thought it'd be fun to chat and hang out with you guys. And I'll get back to the Tarot Destroyer thing in a minute because I'm just distractible right now. You know me when I'm just getting ready. Yeah, so I just thought it'd be fun to chat with you guys while I do this. Plus, this is the exact same technique. This is the exact same thing I did to make the big quilt, only on a smaller scale, for anybody who is looking for, I don't know, tips, ideas. You guys know. You guys know. Anyway, I'll sew these two together. So I've got my ironing board. I'm pretty sure it's almost 100% blocked. I'm pretty sure it's almost completely blocked by the chair here, but I've got my ironing board just right here to the side so that I can just spin. I've got my work table here, my machine here, my ironing board here, so I can just kind of spin in a circle while I get this stuff done. I have not 100% decided on what size to make the pillow yet. I just double checked. It only goes to there, so I don't have to keep sewing. I don't have to keep sewing, which means I can save the scissors there. It's a fucking mess over here today. Anyway, yeah, somebody came in. This channel started off as a tarot channel, or as a, what was I doing? Oh, Peggy's Paranormal Ponderings, right? I started off with that. Just gonna go over here and iron right quick. So I started off this channel a few years ago as Peggy's Paranormal Ponderings, and it's like, and then just realized that because of the way that one was being done, it's like, and because of everything else that was happening at the time, I was like, I don't have time for this. I can't make it work. No problem, no biggie, right? Now I want these to be really bright because I'm actually not going to be using as much of these because I'm just doing a much smaller project, right? Anyway, so I did that years ago. Whatever, I could look up the dates, but anyway, I did that a long time ago. No big deal. So then I decide, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to do this sewing thing. I start up doing these attacks, these spam attacks and all that stuff. They can only happen when you're live, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go live. And I think it was the second time I went live on this channel. Somebody showed up under the name Tarot Destroyer. It's like, well, wait a second. So we're right away going. Then there's a few of you guys that were here for that. So it's like, oh, what the, you guys know me. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck do you think you're trying to accomplish by coming in here pulling this crap? Blah 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 blah. And I said, like, and it's like with your name being Tarot, and you're coming after a sewing channel, you pretty much just announced. Okay. Seeing the way that I am connected to the tarot world, I know quite a bit about what goes on behind the scenes. And I'm not trying to brag and I'm not trying to flex. It just happens to be the truth. And that's basically what I said. I said, I know enough about what's going on behind the scenes with everybody, with all the people and all the things. And you really think I haven't figured out that you can only be one of two people. They left, they've never come back. So, yeah. Yeah, it made that person go away. I've got to click a thing because it shouldn't be. Just a second. You guys might hear. You won't hear anything for a second. Okay, there you go. I had to switch where the microphone was. I've got two windows up, so I have to choose which window is the microphone. And if I make the microphone the little tiny inset window, the inset window is now like the secondary screen. So it keeps messaging to this screen as the primary screen. Your sound is not working. Your sound is not working, which means that the sound, if something does happen and the sound stops working, I won't actually get a message. But anyway. So yeah, that's the only time it ever happened, and we made them go away. It was not that big of a deal. I'm gonna do that one next. I'm gonna add that one. I think that one's cute. This is some old ass fabric. Look at that. This is from my one of my original things. I'm probably only gonna make this. I don't necessarily want to make it too huge of a pillow. I don't think I want to make the pillow too huge, but I don't want to make it too small. I'm debating on making. I don't think it's going to be a bedroom pillow to sleep on. I think it might be. I think the original intention of this quilt. I sized it for the bed in case I need an extra quilt on the bed. I don't do these little itty bitty quilts. I would do baby quilts, but. What's the most shocking thing you've discovered about Tarot Tube that you feel okay telling us about? Of course. Oh, shit, man. Okay. Let me see. You know what? I said I was going to do an AMA one of these days. So, AMA Ask Me Anything. of those people that very little shocks me, I guess. So maybe that's the wrong word used. Just a second. If I try to talk when my back is to the microphone, you guys don't hear shit. So just a second. I think it's the usual thing. You're not putting, okay, no. You're not putting me on the spot. Okay, you guys, okay, anybody who's paying attention to me knows me well enough to know you're not putting me on the spot. If it's a question I can't answer or that it's not, if answering the question could screw somebody else over, if answering the question could screw over somebody I give a shit about, or cause unnecessary drama, obviously the number one rule is I'm not going to talk about anything that could make my wife look bad, which I think everybody expects that answer. I am not shocked or bothered by any question. I respect you guys enough to, most of you guys that are actually paying attention to me and hanging out on this baby channel, it's like I respect you. I respect the space. I respect the space and you guys enough to go. I don't think anybody's asking when a question like this comes up. I don't think it's being asked with any ill intent. Of course, everybody's curious. You know, it's like, oh, it seemed like so-and-so was friends with so-and-so, and then suddenly those two people are not talking anymore, right? So it's like, of course, people are going to get serious. I'm not serious, curious. That makes sense. And you guys, ideally, know me well enough that if it's not, it's like, oh, I can't really discuss that. I'm not going to be offended that I was asked. I don't think you guys are going to be offended if I decline to discuss. So I don't have an issue. Nobody needs to worry, and nobody needs to apologize. One of the things that really shocked me about TarotTube, because now we've got to really back up and do a little bit of history of TarotTube. Not history of TarotTube, history of tarot. And I do not want to sound judgmental, so please take it in the spirit it's intended, but a lot of people gravitate towards tarot as a form of self-help, self-improvement, personal growth, and that's pretty much normal. I don't see anything strange or unusual about it. That's not everybody's story, right? Not everybody is gravitating. Not everybody is going, I'm having these struggles and tarot might help me. Some people are like, does my boyfriend still like me? There's a whole, that's not everybody's story. But anyway, that's kind of the important, let's start with that. Oh, there's a nice one. That's a really pretty one. So, oh, damn, I got to blow my nose. Right back. Like we've seen, well, okay, we've all seen small hints of it, but this idea that you're coming to tarot to find a way to improve your life, improve your situation, improve something that's going on with you, and how fucking malicious some of these people really are. And I don't want to say malicious in a bad way. Okay, there's people that come in and they do tarot. Plenty of people start a channel, doesn't work out. They closed. I did that. I did the Etsy thing. It's like, okay, I've worn out all the topics that I want. I've worn out all the Etsy topics I want to discuss. So I'm not going to worry about that channel anymore. I did it with my baby tarot channel. It's like, I like coming in and doing readings, but I also have to work. Prioritize anything that I did to prioritize that channel was taking away from my ability to get shit done. Okay, not going to do anything. That happens. That happens very, very regularly. But the number of people that are just fucking malicious, or that, and maybe that's just me being a bitch. But I've seen some pretty fucked up people. I've some pretty fucked up people on tarot treating people like crap and getting away with it. There was one guy who was literally trying to dox. It's a guy. It was a guy. No, I'm not going to tell you who. Or maybe I will. I don't fucking care. But he was trying to dox somebody because he was jealous. And he was literally talking about, I don't see why I'm not getting the attention I deserve. Right? It's like, wow. So that was kind of a surprise, because the whole thinking and spirit behind what people say they're getting into tarot for. But no, that's a bit of a thing. How much have I got now? I've got 12 inches. I'm thinking like 16 by 20. I'm thinking a 16 by 20 pillow, because 16 by 20 will get me, I can use it as a regular pillow, but it's still not so large that I can't use it as a couch pillow. I need a couch pillow. Oh, no, well, it gets even weirder than that. Like, I mean, there's one channel. There's one person that keeps coming in, and there's one person, and if you guys figure out who it is, that's fine, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say who. There's one person that started a channel. I'm going to make this narrower. Okay, so basically what's going on right now with this is that it can look as scrappy as it wants. I don't need to try. What I'm thinking about doing is doing one wider one, and then one narrower one. Let's just not turn the camera. I'm gonna start showing myself one wider one and then one narrower one, separated by some of the black, to have the exact same idea. I didn't have to think this hard for the big quilt, because the big quilt was like, I'm just going to make all these strips and then cut them to place. Make all the strips and cut them to place. I still ended up with like half of a strip that I couldn't use because I'd made too much. There's no point in making that much of this. This one's fine. This one's not too dark. Anyway, I don't know if you guys are aware, like, this is not straight. There's been a few people. This seems to be an ongoing theme in the tarot community, talking about mental health, and how if you do this, and this, it's a sign that your mental health is lacking. And people that are coming in, literally making content, basically calling the rest of the community crazy for not doing. And I mean literally. Oh, if you collect decks, it's a sign of this is what's wrong. If you collect decks, this is what's wrong with your mental health. And then all this other fucking content coming up, going, well, this is why I collect decks. It's like, why do we care? Anyway, this is kind of, I know I'm sounding very disjointed here, because we could just spend the next couple hours shooting the shit, but then if I get too personal, I will delete this video, so just to avoid stirring up community shit, and I don't really want to do that. But people are coming in going, if you do this, then you're not a real tarot reader. Like the gatekeeping. Oh, the gatekeeping is fucking crazy. The gatekeeping is crazy. The assumptions and lack of support for other people's mental health struggles, or presumed mental. If you're not doing what I do, then you have a mental health struggle. I found that to be very. What I found to be, I don't know how to say this. What I found to be the most problematic thing was how much of it is happening. I don't know how to describe this. Everybody's usually pretty good behind the scenes. You can tell everybody, yeah, the gatekeeping is ridiculous. That's why I left every tarot group except Lisa's, because we don't allow the gatekeeping. I mean, we had some problems with that from somebody who can go fuck himself forever. But at least he kept most of it in his own space and away from this. He was really bad for that sometimes. But no, everybody behind the scenes tries to get along, but there are definitely, this group does not interact with this group. This sort of thing that goes on. And I find that really sad. I think a lot of the stuff that I know about, everybody else knows something's going on. So I think I'm trying to do a little bit nicer of a job on this. Actually, I don't have to give a shit. because I can trim it a little shorter. Oh yeah, it always shocks me how many people use the anonymity of the net to badmouth each other. Well, it really shocks me. There's a few people in tarot that they do the thing, they do something colossally fucking stupid, or rude or ignorant or problematic or whatever, and I think people show up like there's a couple of channels that just shouldn't even be there. If you guys knew what was going on behind the scenes, it's like nope. I mean, this, well, Tarot Destroyer is very much a part of somebody else's community. And that community, I am really surprised that anybody still has any fucking use for this group. But I'm not going to say who, because I don't want this to, if you say, this is what happens behind the scenes. I don't want to say who, because the blowback will drag in other people who've done nothing wrong. There is plenty of people associated with this particular group that I'm thinking of off the top of my head who have done absolutely nothing wrong that would be devastated if they knew what was going on behind the scenes. Or maybe not. I don't know. Like there are always those people that say everybody deserves forgiveness, some grace, and a second chance. But that's just, yeah. I think, like I said, I don't. There's. If I was an independent person with no connections to other people, I don't know how to describe this. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because it'll make my wife look bad. It won't. It won't. Because my wife is not part of this particular group that I just mentioned. My wife is not a part of that group. But you can make yourself look really bad by being the one to badmouth that group, which is the catch-22. Behind the scenes, there's a certain amount of office politics that makes people keep their mouths shut, which I can have opinions on that. I'm just really surprised at how much of it that there actually is in a community that's supposed to be all about, every single tarot person talks about helping and supporting each other, right? And yet, so many of them don't. But maybe I thought I'd straighten that one and it didn't straighten out. Okay, we'll do it again. There it is. But yeah, I honestly am not sure how much more I can say without, and like I said, there are some absolutely sweet and wonderful people who I don't want them painted with the same brush. I don't want them to feel dragged into it or painted with the same brush, but I also know that, and like I said, what do you do with your seams? Do you fold and iron one side or iron them open? I basically, when you're doing quilting, you're going to sew this onto a batting of some kind. So as long as you get as long as you sew either here, I just do them to one side. I fold them to one side. If I have, like, this is a light piece, this is a light piece here, right? I fold them to one side without worrying too much, but I make sure that on my lighter pieces, I make sure the seam is folded away so that you don't get a dark spot. If this was a darker piece and the seam was folded that way, you could end up with a dark line under the seam here. And seams I don't like working with white because let me just shift the seam and see if I can make it visible. I don't have to care. Okay, anyway, let's see. Let's see if I can do it from here. Yeah, okay. Let me bring the camera over. Let me just get a little bit of light here. Now I've got light going behind it to make it really obvious, but see the darkness? You can see the seam. You can see that seam. So if you're working with a lot of, and even on this one below, this one below here, you can see the seam through. I know I'm not doing the best job of showing it, but from my perspective, I can see this. Maybe you guys can. I don't know. you can see the seam even through, because if there's anything behind it, I don't like being able to see the exact seam. So that's the only real rule that I make for myself, because when I'm coming back to quilt this later, I don't have to worry about the seams shifting or pulling themselves apart, because I'll be quilting that down a little bit. But I always I'm pretty indiscriminate as long as my light fabrics are the seams are pushed away from the dark. Yeah, there's a few people that aren't around anymore. There's a few people that aren't around anymore that it's like good riddance. There's a few people that are still around that it's like, wow. But then again, but you know what? There's people that don't watch Lisa. It's fine. It's like, well, Lisa's a little too positive. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You're allowed to think that, right? Okay, how long is this one now? This is almost 16 inches. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm overthinking this particular seam. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm probably going to make this one narrower. I'm going to fiddle and fart and make this as awkward as possible. So when possible, I usually put my narrow piece to the top, right? But when possible, I'm going to be going over all these seams. So when possible, I try to put my seam to the bottom. I'm not pinning, and I'm not worrying about the pinning, because there's definitely some intentional sloppiness here, because the entire purpose of this entire project was to use up as much scrap as possible, which I used a ton of it. Yeah, a little more calm. I guess I am calmer. Lisa's okay. Here's the thing. I mean, behind the scenes, we have our own lives. We have our own causes and things that are important to us, and we do that. For all you guys know, we're complete assholes when the camera turns off, but we're not bringing. We have no interest in bringing. If we want to have a political space, or a whatever space, or a queer space, or a person with disability space, if we want to make our content about that, we can. We make our content about that because that's what we're already dealing with in our day-to-day lives. We don't need to marinate in it on the internet as well. But that's okay. I mean, it works for us. But see how I'm actually slowing down? I had no idea about all this tarot stuff. I watched Lisa. Yeah, well, there's one person. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who it is. Ouroboros? You guys have heard of her? She blew in a couple of years ago, started making content, and I'm a certified counselor, and this is why debt collecting is bad. Got the entire fucking community in an uproar. People started losing their fucking minds. And suddenly, right back. Okay, you know what? This is what I will talk about, because I personally have I've never interacted with Ouroboros. I've only ever seen her content, and I think she's next to fucking useless. But and I'm allowed to think that. I'm not. What I do know happened. I'm only going to speak to what exactly happened, and that is Ouroboros swung into the community. I'm a counselor. I am a counselor that specializes in. I have professional qualifications. Yeah, you two are a married couple. Have out almost all your joint content. Oh, thanks. So basically, Ouroboros swings in. Love her or hate her, that's fine. I don't find her particularly. I find her problematic, and I'm allowed to say that I think she's a problematic person, and that's fine. That's fine. My opinion. You guys are allowed to say, oh, but she's wonderful. That's fine. But what she did was she triggered an entire shitstorm because she came in talking about debt collecting as a toxic behavior, mental health problem, this. Fine. You're allowed. That's fine. The intentional slopping. Okay, I've got two things happening right now. I'm being intentionally sloppy, and usually I straighten my lines with my big ruler, which is over there. But I'm just gonna say fuck it. So what I'm gonna do, I want this one. How did I do this before? Okay, I'm probably gonna trim this one and make it really short. Now this one here is, I know for a fact, I know for a fact that this one isn't straight. So Q, everybody in the community losing their mind. Because a lot of people were jumping on the bandwagon of, yes, collecting is bad. Or I don't know if she's active. I don't know if she's currently active or not. She came in, made a whole bunch of content really fast, upset everybody. And I mean upset. Even people who were supporting her were finding reasons to get upset. Now, if you have your seams in one direction, I'll tell you right now, if a seam twists, if I fuck this up and I sew this seam in the wrong direction as to what it's doing here, so that it ends up, if I sew it in the wrong direction so that this seam ends up twisting, the seam is going this way, but if I sew it, it'll twist. Iron the shit out of it, and once your batting is on, you won't find it. Don't do it on purpose, but if it happens, don't just. Okay, unless you're trying to win a quilting contest, if it happens. Anyway, so this is a story from a few. I am going to tell this story. This is a story from a few years ago, and it caused a widespread phenomenon. Okay. So she makes all this content, basically judging the whole fucking community. Oh, have you going on about how collecting decks is really bad for you and how it indicates these mental health problems and all this shit, right? Well, people who have their own axe to grind where collecting is concerned, because again, I was really surprised at the judgmental behavior that often went on behind the scenes in tarot. I don't get why folk have issues with people who collect. You know what? I don't give a shit if they got issues with people who collect decks. You know what I mean? I don't collect decks. My wife does. I understand both sides of the problem, and you cannot automatically say you have a mental health problem if you do the thing. So this woman comes in and she's like, I'm a certified therapist, and this is why collecting decks is a mental health problem. Well, for starters, a certified therapist, an actual therapist who's got any competence in the field will know better than to come in and judge an entire community, but that's my personal observation. Anyway, so now the apology tours are beginning. And now all of a sudden people are going, yeah, deck collecting is a problem when we really need to watch it. And oh, well, I collect decks, but I don't have a problem. And this just went crazy. This went absolutely crazy because a professional said this. And it's like a professional condescended to judge an entire fucking community, which is not what a professional with any fucking skill would ever do or allow to be done. But that's a whole separate problem, right? But she's like, she just made all this content about how collect. I'm gonna iron this first and then trim it. I think I did this wrong. What did I do? I did this in the wrong order. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Sometimes when you already know that your lines are a bit of a mess to begin with, this one, oh no, this line's straight. It was the other end. Oh, well, anyway. Sometimes, even though it's a little awkward, it's easier to iron it and then trim it. It just depends on where your comfort levels are at. So take off that one. You know what? This is already a square pillow size. Is it not? What am I at right now? Let me check my measurements. You know what? I'm going to stop. I'm making more than one pillow today. So this will already trim down. This will trim down to a 15 by 15 inch pillow, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Okay. This is one of the benefits of buying. This is one of the reasons why I recommend that when and where possible, to sew your things a little bit bigger than what you need, so that it's easier for you to come back and do them. Now, I wanted this to be about I wanted this to be about 16 by 20, right? But it's already at 50. It's already almost like 15 and a half inches. This is a 15-inch square, and it fits almost perfectly. There's a little bit off the top here. It doesn't matter. So what I did on the quilt was 4 inches all the way around, right, of all the patterning that I did. If I just add my 2 15-inch strips now, this will be the size that I want. I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to do 15 by 19. Call it a day. Call it a day. So anyway, so Ouroboros, and like I said, I don't give a shit. She's the one who started. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. I'm going to reach behind me. I already knew in advance that I was going to be putting black all the way around whatever I ended up with. So I already pre-cut and pre-ironed these. So now I just got to grab them and add them. Grab them and add them. What I also do when I'm doing sloppy work like this, if saving fabric matters to you, then you want to have this trimmed to the right size so that you can line it up exactly on your corners and stuff like that. I'm doing it sloppy because it's working for me. So I'm going a little above, and I'll just come back and trim this later. But again, keep in mind, I'm working with extra. So far, I'm about 15. Well, okay, this stuff here. Okay, for this pillow right now, this is extra fabric I already had. This is extra fabric that I cut off from the backing of that. This pillow is pretty much free to make right now. So this pillow is free to make right now. So if I have a little bit of extra scrap, I don't need to care. So I'm just going to do that. Start when possible. If you're doing it sloppy like I'm doing it, go a little bit over and then trim. It'll make it a lot easier. It's just some projects require more precision than others. This is not a precision project. Okay, that one's done. So anyway, now the apology tours have started. I don't want to say up in my feels, but I was just like, oh my God, because some of the people that were making these oh, well, you know, I know that collecting is a really bad thing to do. And it's like a couple of the people making these. Now let's stay down here. You guys can see my snarky expressions. Some of the people going on I don't know. I called it the apology tour. That's what it looked like. That's what it felt like. That these people were now trying to backtrack and apologize, and because they felt criticized, right? So instead of going, okay, well, she's allowed to. I mean, our stance was she's allowed to criticize, so whatever, and we got on with our days, right? But people were coming in having these entire things about toxicity of collecting. And some of these videos were like, well, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but if you have a problem with collecting, and it's like, you know, collecting, and it's like, it brought so much shitty energy into the community that it was like, is that long enough? No, it is not. So when you're saving this up to go around something big, like see these two pieces are different lengths, right? So these two have been, this has been sewn together here. So I would just, if I had an extra piece like this, I just add it in. So it just gets used up that way. Well, this is the thing. Some of these tarot creators, and I'm not judging anybody, but it's like, I'm not judging anybody, but here's the catch 22. It's like, I'm not judging anybody, but if I had to judge, I would say, why are you doing this very apologetic video that empowers this woman? And like, okay, for some people buying, you know, for some people deck collecting could be a symptom of other mental health issues. That's fine. That's possible. But why are some of the, some of these people that were jumping up making all this apologetic sounding content? It's like, why are you apologizing for your habits? Why are you making it sound like you're one of the ones with the mental health problem? That's kind of what that's, and this is entirely my thinking. This is entirely me. Lisa's opinions were different, because Lisa's opinions were, this is a really, really important discussion to have. And absolutely, there is no discussion that's not too important. Any discussion is worth having, right? Anyway, but this really, it really made me change my opinion on a lot of people based on how they were reacting and acting over this idea that they needed to make structured, tailored content addressing the toxicity of debt collecting. And it's like, no, it's not my, yeah, they sounded ashamed of themselves. Exactly, Stevie. They sounded ashamed of themselves, like they were, and it's like, and I will say my opinion, I think that those particular people that made that kind of content, okay, let's get to the punchline. Ouroboros, then she stuck around for about a year or so, I guess. I don't know. As soon as I realized, it's like, oh, she's fucking toxic. So it's like, and I'm allowed to think that, my opinion only, right? I've got, I'm allowed to have that opinion of anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's perfectly fine. I'm being lazy and not doing this one right, but that's okay. Year or so later, she's like, this isn't fun for me anymore. And she deletes all of her content and bounces. She triggered a hard split. There's my top. That's going to be my pillow top. Make that into a pillow. So what I'm going to do now, I don't want to just, to make a pillow, I put my backing on and I stuff my pillow, but I want this to be quilted down, and it will add some texture to the top. I'm also thinking there's a way to do the back that kind of, I'll get there. But yeah, so that one particular person, I'm happy to talk about her, because it feels like thousands of hours of content were made addressing her fucking issue, addressing her issues and triggering other people with issues to make, sounding ashamed of themselves. And it's like, that's so pretty. It would not last 2 seconds in my house because it would be covered in cat hair. Well, we have a Bruno. I'm going to be, I collect decks because I love beautiful art. Whatever reason people collect is their own business, in my opinion. You know what? Here's the thing. If you are collecting decks, if your deck collecting habits have a relationship to a mental health problem, let's be fair and let's be honest. We do know, and this is what ultimately ended up happening. Okay, my opinion. If, let's pick on Victoria. We're just going to pick on you just so I can make the example make sense. If your debt collecting has some type of relationship to a mental health issue that you may or may not be experiencing, the fucking internet is not the place to be addressing it. You know what I mean? Some woman with whatever the fuck was going on with whatever. Okay, this, to my opinion, is like, okay, Ouroboros is projecting her mental health situation, deflecting. Isn't that, it's like, I'm not the problem, you are. Deflecting, right? She was deflecting her own situation onto the wider internet. Now, let's get back to picking on. I hope you're aware, Victoria, I usually pick on somebody at some point, so I'm not trying to make you feel a thing. And if you feel a thing, I'll switch and pick on somebody else. If you come in and you say, if you were to come in right now and say, I find that I struggle with debt collecting because as much as I enjoy the decks, other issues seem to be getting in the way, and I feel guilty after I get a deck. Absolutely, we will have an adult conversation right here, right now, and that's fine if that's what helps you. But I am not going to sit here and go, Victoria collects decks, so let me explain what her mental health problems are. I'm also not going to come in and say, I'm not going to come in and make separate content addressing this. It's like, oh, well, mental health and debt collecting. It's like, that's not. And If that has a connection for you in your world, it is not my problem. It is certainly not my fucking business. And yeah, so we basically had the let's talk about debt collecting as a mental health crisis apology tour happening. What the fuck was, oh, I gotta get up for. Okay, I'm gonna see if these are big enough. Just a second. I've built my little command center. I've got table leg here, and here because these two tables are connected. So I have to like get in and get out and make sure I don't, and my bad knee is the one that's facing all these table legs. Don't worry, my knee is good today. I'm doing fine. But I have to make sure that I get in and out of my little command center because the iron's here today, back here behind me. I got to make sure I get in and out of my little command center without smashing my knee on anything. Okay, did I grab a big enough piece? I did. Okay, so if you're concerned, you can iron flannel. You cannot iron. You can iron flannel if you think you want it to smooth. If you're like, I'm new at this, I want the best results. Then if your flannel is wrinkled and you think it's going to affect the final product, if you feel concerned, you can iron flannel. You cannot iron this stuff. Regular batting, this type of batting, you cannot iron. And the other stuff, the polyester stuff, you can't iron that either. But don't let it bother you. Okay. Well, yeah, don't let it bother you, but if it bothers you. So we are going to, but anyway. So the thing is, this particular person all by herself, and the thing that really got me was some of the people who were, maybe it is because I know a little bit too much about what goes on behind the scenes, but I swear to God, some of the people, yeah, well, flannel also, okay, I've got all of these seams back here, right? I've got all of these seams. So I'm just making a pillow. Hi, Cottonwood Heart. I'm just making a basic pillow. So I don't, if you want your pillow to have that extra layer of, then double up a couple of layers of flannel, but I need this to be sewn down on something so that, because I don't want these seams shifting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm just going to, I think I might just go at an angle. You don't have to sew every single seam, but you have to, you don't have to do anything. But if I just leave this open, then eventually these seams, this might fray from the, if your seams fray, once they start getting close enough to those stitches, that's when your stitches pop. Okay. So you don't want, I don't want my stitches to pop. So I want some light quilting here, which I fucked up. I didn't fuck up. So anyway, so what we're looking at right now, and like I said, what has been going on ever since, I'm just switching out to my my walking foot. It'll be a lot quicker and a lot easier for me. Oh, I fixed my needle threader, by the way, guys. It's still not working as well as I'd like it to, but I got in there with a sharp pair of tweezers. I got in there with some really fine tweezers. Come on. So don't forget, when you're switching just the foot, you just pop off the bottom. When you're switching shank and all, this is the whole shank. For the most part, even when this shit is being super fiddly and not cooperating, I don't like taking, come on, get in there. What's going on? Oh, that's why I get down there. Even when this shit is being super fiddly, you should not have to use a lot of force. If you have to use a lot of, if you're finding like, oh, this isn't going, if you find yourself starting to use too much is relative to what you're trying to accomplish. But if you feel like you're using, you will have to use some force. You got to pop things into place. But if you feel like you're using excessive force, you possibly are, and just slow down, fiddle, start over, back it up. You can take this screw. Let me see if I can get in here. Nope. Okay. You can take this screw here completely out while you're switching over your feet, but it's on the left-hand side. So I find that if I take this screw out, God, I can't even. If I take the screw out, the one that I just tightened, if I take the screw out while I'm changing my feet, when I have to change the entire thing like this, if I take the screw out, it pops off and pops on beautifully. But I am not left-handed. I find myself really awkward about getting the screw back in. So for me personally, I can end up taking just as much time. But what can work? This is why I said this was designed by a man who hates women. Get everything lined up and then get back in here, and it's like, don't be afraid if you look silly and awkward, because that's just how it goes. But anyway, so yeah, so I was really surprised. Some of the people that were making content, it was like, yeah, like Stevie said, it's almost like you're feeling guilty, you're feeling ashamed of yourself, you're feeling whatever. And so I walked away feeling like nobody was having actually healthy conversation. Everything got so bad so fast. People that were kind of anti-deck collecting, there are purists. I don't collect decks. There are purists out there. I'm experimenting today. I picked this up about a bazillion years ago, and this is Invisifil. And it looks beige. Maybe I should try it. I'm going to do a thing. This is supposed to be invisible. It's supposed to go on invisible so you can't see it. But I felt like, and this is just me again. Like I said, my wife's opinion was, oh, we're having some really important conversations. That this person also showed up during COVID when, sorry, I have to try and find the beginning here. Fuck. Let me get over here. My God, I'm blind. I'm getting blind. So yeah, so I think I think the gross overreaction on a community level made the mental health conversation worse, made everybody feel like if they were collecting decks, they were like, COVID was not the best time. So people are like, oh, I'm collecting a lot of decks, I must have a mental health problem because so-and-so said it. So-and-so is defending it. So-and-so is, so it just went into a fucking circle. I am trying to get this thread. I hate when this happens because I feel like I have to like start cutting it or something. Maybe, oh, maybe I'll try it. Look, right there it is. Oh my God. Apparently I've been doing really well. I couldn't even. Yeah, so at a time when people are already worried about debt and stuff, this woman's coming in going, if you collect decks, you have a mental health problem. It's like, that was basically the punchline. And she just kept making, she kept making content. Strangely enough, her fucking, all of her social stuff, when you take a second, it's like, what the fuck is this woman all about, right? So you take a look at what she's up to, and it's like, oh, it's amazing how, okay. So I got my seam ripper, just ever so gently wiggled it in, and now I got my thread started. I don't know if I'm going to like this thread or not. I'm going to do a sample first. Okay, this is supposed to look invisible, and I can, yeah, tarot is one of the things that got me through COVID, but here's the thing. If, like, Michelle, if you were to say, hey, I feel like my collecting activity might have a relationship to maybe possibly my mental health not being great right now. Absolutely, have a conversation about that. Have a conversation in public and private, whatever works for you. But somebody coming online, because don't forget, you're seeing all these people. You're seeing, how is it going to feel if I say, well, of course, if you're collecting, you have your mental health sucks. Like, this is the kind of content that was coming up. I don't know if I trust this. This is supposed to look invisible, and it certainly does not. This is called Invisalign, Invisifil. It does not look invisible. I don't trust it. I was going to do all my quilting. I was going to do this too. It's very fine. I don't trust it. I'm not going to use it. I don't have to try. Well, I can test it. You know what? I don't want to fuck with it. But the thing is that, yeah, so I'm going to get repetitive and do the thing. God knows you guys are not used to me being repetitive by now, right? But the thing is that, oh, you know what I figured out happens? We kind of figured this out because I sit around in the morning and it's just me at home. Talking gets your jaw moving. Your jaw moving gets the muscles, whatever. But it also gets everything on the inside moving. So therefore, I'm sitting there minding my own business. Then I start talking, and everything just starts. Oh, anything that's there wanting to escape starts trying to escape because I'm talking. Okay. I'm just going to use black. I'm just going to do it with the black because I'm just coming down here. I'll come down here. I don't have to pick up every single one of these. You just want it to, you do not have to do every single seam. You don't have to do every single seam. You just have to do it enough so that you know that it's not going to shift around. I don't think black going across here is going to matter. All the background's in black. You know what? This is all scrap. I don't have to care. So the thing is, so this woman shows up, starts talking about this, but the community itself went fucking nuts. Anyway, that's just one thing. So, okay, this is flannel. Flannel, you do not have flannel. I can just sew these two together and walk away and be done. Flannel does not require any quilting if that's not what you're into. I'm using it as my backing fabric. 2 layers of fabric are gonna make this. If you use regular fabric, it is going to make, I got to give this about an inch or so. If you use regular fabric, it is going to make this seem, it's going to act like a stiffener. Using flannel or batting gives you that puff, adds a layer without stiffening. I don't know how to describe this. Okay, I'm going to go back up to the edge a little bit. Obviously, double check as you go. Make sure things aren't. I need my gloves. Anyway, so that was one thing. That was one thing, and we had a few other things that happened. Okay, there was some stuff that happened behind the scenes that made it very, very, very clear that there are some of the people that are only in it for the, I don't know, the attention. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm here for attention. I'm not denying it. It's like I work alone. I'm home. It's just me sitting around home all day. Validation, maybe that's the word. Maybe that's the better word that we should be. Don't forget, if you're using a walking foot, a couple of back stitches won't hurt anything, but if you try to do patterns and stuff like that, it usually isn't going to work. So I'm just going to do some, I can just go all the way over here. I'm just going to, so basically this will just tack it down so that the seams, for this particular, I'm going to do it on the quilt properly. For the pillow top here, I'm just protecting these seams so that they can't get pulled out. But a lot of people, it became clear that a lot of people were in it for the clout, in it for the validation, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. So, well, she shamed the community and bailed, but the community lost its collective fucking mind. She also came back. Some people were like, oh my God, she's so amazing. And they were just kissing her ass, kissing her feet. A whole bunch of content creators that used to talk about collecting were all of a sudden talking about how collecting is evil. It just, and the number of people who jumped on that the people who jumped on the bandwagon, the people who started making this apologetic content, this, you know, that's what got me. I was really surprised with the amount of content that started coming out because of this. And I was really surprised with how I don't know, defending her is the right word. Absolutely. COVID was a shitty time for everybody. If you want, it's like, okay, well, I don't, you know, this person has some interesting points. And yeah, if anybody wants to have a conversation about whether or not collecting and mental health have a connection, sure, not a problem. But then the people, this is like the behind the scenes stuff of the people that were bandwagoning all over this shit, and they were only doing it for clout. I'll tell you that right now. Because there was also like, okay, there's one creator who I suspect I'm just gonna let's do the bombshell. I don't know if I want to call it the bombshell. This is somebody I'm never gonna name. There was one creator who had some pretty I don't want to say overtly racist, but had made comments in the past that they're not. I don't want to say racist, but we're definitely insensitive to the POC community. And as soon as Black Lives Matter happened, they're showing up with BLM T-shirts on their channels. It's like that is about as performative activism for likes on the internet. That was a problem. But here's the thing: is that like, okay, and those people by the time that happened were not people that I was having anything to do with anyway. I'm only going to do like every second or third one because I just need to make sure it's not going to move around too much, and I don't think it's going to move around all that much at this point. But and like, okay, like that tarot destroyer that showed up trying to cause shit. I know exactly who that. I know who that person is. But I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name them for two reasons. I know who I believe that I know who this person is, but there is still a tiny chance that it might not be that person. I know that it can only be one of 3 or 4 people because only 3 or 4 people that would have joined the channel or been aware of the channel back when it was still tarot adjacent, this channel nobody would have spotted this. This person this is not a random person who wandered into a sewing channel that happened to have the name Tarot Destroyer, right? This was somebody in the tarot community, and a couple of the comments that they made, it's like, oh, you know exactly who I am. I mean, I'm not that big of a fucking deal. My wife is a big deal. I'm certainly not. I'm not worth going after to anybody except 2 people. Well, three people. One of which is not on YouTube. The other 2 are. So it's like, okay. But anyway. But yeah, that whole thing with Ouroboros really brought a lot, really behind the scenes, made it clear who some of them, because don't forget, these are people. So don't forget, these are already people who it's like they were not in my good books to begin with. So when they started making this kind of content, if I say something shitty right now, because God knows I say something shitty every day. If I say something shitty right now, you guys are going to go, oh, Peggy's having a bad minute, a bad moment, a bad day. Peggy misspoke. It's not proof that I'm a shitty person, right? But if you think I'm a shitty person, if you think I'm a horrible human being, and I have a bad day, a bad moment, and I say something, then you're going to go, oh, well, there's the proof. So I don't know. But from my perspective, some of the reactions that came about, some of the content that came about as a direct result of what this person made all this content. So I just didn't watch her channel. It's like, whatever. But the reactiveness of the community for some of the people that I already really didn't think very highly of to begin with, their reactions were like, oh, well, I already suspected this about them. So the fact that they're saying this makes me really wonder, blah, 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 blah. It's really hard to talk yourself out of thinking something. If something happens or gets said, and don't forget the internet is forever, right? If something gets said that blatantly or that in some way confirms your opinions, thoughts, or belief about somebody, it's really hard to change your mind. So that's my perspective. That's my thing. But I will say that there are certain people in the community that are just not nearly as connected as they used to be because they hang their ass out way too often, and people have reacted to it. Which one did I just do? That one. Yeah, I'm not doing every single one, but I'm trying to. And with the way I'm doing this pillow, this is just going to go straight to the stuffing. I don't need to finish this. You'll see what I'm doing in a couple minutes. But anyway, Yeah, I think I've beaten this particular topic to death, this particular aspect of the topic. If you guys have any other questions, that is something I will say. If you plan on making content, just keep in mind that anything that you do or say online, the internet is forever. Even if you delete the video, if somebody is really out to fuck with you, they'll have already taken a. If you do or say something that's like, oh, I shouldn't say that, that's probably not a good idea. But if somebody is really determined to fuck with you, they can already have had the content copied. Isn't that scary, eh? I will also say that in most cases, most of the time, it's not that big of a deal. You're just gonna have a bit of a thick skin, right? Like that Tarot Destroyer person, they thought that they were gonna fuck with me. It's like, no, this is a sewing channel now. So if you're in here talking to tarot, then you know who I am, which means I know who you are. But yeah. Is it bad that this conversation has actually made me want to declutter my decks? LOL. I've not touched the majority in over a year, other than when I moved, which took 4 large moving boxes. You know what? Thing is that that's a common conversation. But you know what? This, like I said, this person, this Ouroboros, and all of the people that were like, oh my God, Ouroboros has got. I mean, these were people that, oh, I respect Ouroboros so much, but don't worry about my mental health. And here's why I collect. And anyway, here's the thing. Is like, yeah, conversations like that. Anytime you have a conversation like that, it's going to make you think about your own shit. It's not proof that you have a mental health problem. And if it is proof to you, if that is where your thinking is going, then it's not fair to attack you with it, right? But anyway, this is the thing. The conversation, oh, I wonder if I should declutter my decks. Lisa has that. Lisa and I have that conversation all the time. Hey, honey, do you need to declutter some decks? Get them out of my fucking house, right? Having the conversation, being willing to have the conversation, oh, I think I might have too many decks, is not proof that you're struggling with a mental health problem. It's proof that, oh, my house is too full of tarot decks, right? Yeah, I have plenty of mental health problems. Decks isn't one of them. Exactly. I have 99 problems. And honestly, my collection is building again. It always is, because Lisa's like, oh, hey, I got this deck. Do you want it? And it's like, oh, I'm not sure. Let me take a look at it. I've got decks. I've got decks that oh, this is a cool deck and I want to have this deck, and I've never even used them. So, but the thing is that this was what was going around with this is what was happening. This is a good example, Stevie. You're saying, oh, does it make me want to do the thing? But here's the thing, is that people come to tarot for a whole lot of reasons all the time, blah, 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 blah. But the narrative that people were spinning was, if you're even concerned, if you think you have too many decks, you probably have a mental health problem. That's not what they were saying. That's not. Some people were trying to address the topic respectfully, but other people were stirring the shit pot, keeping it stirred. And so it turned into this, oh, collecting decks and mental health. And it's like, no, that's not how it goes. That is not how it works. If that's how it works for you, that's not my business to judge. That's not my business to anything. And it certainly isn't my business to turn a safe space where you can talk about tarot into an unsafe space where you're now feeling ashamed or guilty about talking about your passion for tarot. My passion for tarot results in me collecting decks. Okay. People were ashamed of talking about stuff like that. People were, because this whole, it got fucking weird. It got super fucking weird. It's like, yeah. And there was a few people who made content saying, who made content saying like, yeah, your relationship with your decks, your collections, your hobby, and your life is not my business to judge, or blah, 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 blah. And they were getting shit on by the other people who were making all this ashamed of themselves content. Some of the people that were engaging in this content was really problematic, because a couple of people that were engaging in this content had big enough channels that they were impacting people. And I believe, because I'm allowed to have my opinions, I believe that the content that they were putting out to make themselves look better actually had a detrimental effect on some people's mental health. I said that fucked up. But like I said, the majority, the biggest piece of that happened during COVID, when people were already trapped at home, wondering how their mental health. I'm already stuck in house. I'm already stuck at home under restrictions, wondering how my mental health is going to survive. And suddenly, one of the things that brings me joy in life is being judged by somebody who, by not just this one person, but by somebody else. By this, oh, this is one of my favorite. This is one of the, because I watch YouTube like other people watch TV, right? We don't have cable. So it's like, oh, one of my favorite content creators is saying blah about mental health, blah blah blah. It's like, oh yeah, because he's just trying to deflect from his own fucking problems. But that's a different conversation. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of what the fuck's going on? That's like, whatever. My thread is wrapped around the needle, but the needle is still working fine. So I'm just going right along the edge here. I've done about every second or third one. I've tried to put my stitch lines into where the fabric is darker, so the black isn't as visible. I'm going to be doing it different. I'm going to be doing it differently for the quilt, and I haven't really decided what I'm doing yet. I'm probably just going to do straight up and down. Everyone has their own unique why when it comes to tarot indoor collecting. I have my own unique why as to everything I fucking do. Right? Everybody does. And the thing is, like I said, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm not too worried about whether or not I get too close to the edge. Oops, flip it around so there's not quite as much shit stuck up here. That's the thing. Once I start on the blanket, I'm going to need all of this space. I'm going to be it's going to be a problem. But yeah, that was probably that whole era was probably the biggest thing, because I would tell you right now is that every now and again, I don't go spying on people because I don't fucking care. But that's my iron turning itself off. Thank God it's like 400 degrees in here right now. But every now and again, oh, so-and-so made a video about deck collecting and being in mental health again. And I'm like, I just roll my eyes, and it's like, I think it's really sad because they really don't make themselves look all that great. But I think it's even sadder than just people that are eating it up. But I cannot tell, it's not, there's plenty of people that see me and go, oh no, you're not my style. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. You don't owe me your friendship. You don't owe me anything, right? So I'm not, something that you can do if you're working with straight lines, especially if it's your project that's going to be living in your house, you can just use basic chalk and a ruler and draw your line so that you have something to follow and do it that way. So this is going to be pretty. Now I've got a decision to make. So what I'm going to do here, I can do it. I can just do this and fill it, or I can make an insert and then leave an opening in the back so it can be done that way. And I think I want to do the insert, because if I do end up needing to wash this, I want to be able to wash it with a minimum of fuss. I literally, it's like, where's my ruler? I don't know where my ruler went, guys. I have no idea where my ruler went. I need this guy though. But anyway, yeah, that's probably one of the ones. That's probably one of the easiest ones to talk about. But yeah, basically for me, it's not like I know everything all the time. I usually know a little bit more than what's being talked about publicly. Sometimes I know a lot more. But no, all the way. So I'm just, now you can get in with your big ruler and you can square this all up and make it nice and perfectly square. And I'm just guesstimating and working with my best guess, because it's a scrap project. It's a scrap project that's just going to go on the couch. I can never keep my rotary cutter sharp, always skip bits. Basically, depending on how often you sew, it's like I don't know what they make these bits out of, but I also find that what happens is you get a rotary cutter, you just start pressing down harder and harder and harder. If it's skipping bits, though, it could be that your blade, if it's skipping bits, it could be that the blade itself has a little nick or a little bend in it. My big rotary blade, I've got a big one, and I've just decided I'm going to stop using it because I only get a few cuts in. The blade, the big one, is it over there? I don't know where it is. I don't know where my big one is, but I'll show you on this one. It's like I get a few cuts in, and if something, so you're cutting, right? You're cutting and something goes whatever, and you chunk up onto your ruler or something. You hit something's in your way. The bigger blades bend easier, right? It's just like taking a pop can and crushing the pop can versus trying to crush the tab. The smaller the piece is, the stiffer it is. It's just the way metal works. So sometimes if you're using a big cutter, sometimes it can be really insanely easy to bend it. My big one is big enough that it seems like I only get to use it for a day or two before I'm bending it again and missing chunks. You can tell, yeah, it doesn't have to be this small. I like this small because I can cut this sort of stuff up on my table. And as long as I'm not trying to cut too much thickness at the same time, then I can get through this pretty easy. Plus the blades are cheaper on this one here. But yeah, the bigger ones can get nicked. But one of the ways that you can tell is you run your cut. Next time you're running your cutter on a relatively large piece of fabric or whatever, even if you have to stop, even if you're like, okay, stop, reposition, don't lift your blade. Okay, this is how you test your blade. So you're gonna cut your fabric. You start here, you go cut. Even if you have to reposition things, okay, I gotta shift my ruler. Yep. Try and get a long cut where you're going at least 2 or 3 times, letting your blade roll. If it's cutting sequentially, and your missed spots are kind of every 4 inches it misses a spot, then you know your blade is bent. Then you know that's the blade. You know the blade is nicking or bending or whatever, which may put you in a position to decide whether or not you need to get a different size. Okay, so I'm gonna use the same material as my backing, right? I'm gonna use my same material as my backing, so now I have to measure. What I'm gonna do, this is like 21.5 inches by 15 by 21. I'm not gonna make it smaller. So I need 2 pieces of 15 by 21. I don't need them to be 15 by 21. Yeah, I think it's the blade, and there's a bit on my ruler at 8 inches that sticks out. Yeah, so if you keep hitting that spot, then if that's the spot that you keep hitting, then is this the right width? Please be the right width. If this is the wrong width, I'm gonna whine. I'm gonna whine and bitch and complain. But yeah, okay. I need 2 pieces. I got to remember the math on this. And I might just wander this over to the big table for a quick second here. Now these need to be at least 16 inches. Oh yeah, we're at least 16 inches. Okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna sloppy cut. This is all scrap. I could afford the waste, right? If you're not working with scrap, then figure out what you want first. This is like down to like 26 or 27 inches, so I know I've got lots. I'm just getting that out of the way so I got a little more room to work with. So that one. That one. Okay, these two are done. These two are done. Stuck them up. Now what I'm going to do with this, what I'm going to do over here is there's a really cool trick you can do for the back. I just want to make sure, it's going to fit. Yeah, it's going to fit. We're good. It's fine. So I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to go grab my good ruler for a second. I want a nice clean straight cut. Getting out of here the right way. That was, I'm throwing it around now, but it was ironed. Yeah, this is a big one. Okay. This is the big one, right? This is the next size. So when I do the big one, now watch it not do it, right? It's got this big one has a bit of a nick on it. It's not severe, but it's there. So all I'm doing is just lining this up. I want a nice straight cut. Yep, I felt it. It didn't do it though. This has got a bit of a bend in it because it's big. It's a bigger blade. See, look, even it moves, it shifts, right? This one's got a bit of a bend in it. So depending on the surface, it just doesn't want to cut once it hits the area where the bend is. So what I'm doing right now is pretty simple. I am going to, I just cut these two to get a nice flat, to get a nice straight line to work with. I'm not worried about this yet. We're fine right now. I'm going to spin around. I'm going to turn my iron back on. I'm going to be spinning around, and I think I might even, no, I'm not going to worry about measuring this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice wide seam. Okay. I want it to be nice and wide, and then I just got to fold it in. I'm gonna iron it so it stays nice and flat, and I'm doing that. So I'm putting a little seam here, folding it down, giving it what? This should be about 4 inches, hopefully. Did I do it right? 1, 2, 3, 4, a little over 4. It does not need to be perfect. We're not trying that hard today. That's going to be 4. Or I just want to, no, I don't want to double it. Or do I just want to double it? There's 2 ways to do this. There's 2 ways to do this. Okay, I'm just going to show you what it's going to end up looking like. So you're going to have one piece like this, right? Next piece like this. They're going to overlap each other. They're going to overlap so that when you sew it down here and here, and then that's going to leave a opening that you can dig your way into, and that's going to be sewn onto the back of the pillow. Let's just check. I might be able to, I don't know if I want it thick. I don't know how I want it yet. I still have to sew it down. I would still have to sew it. Come on, you go there. You go there. Don't get in the way of my command center. You know what? I can just do that. It's going to be a little thicker on the back, but it doesn't matter. I'm just using up scrap. No, okay, either way, I've got to sew this. So I'm just going to sew, I'm going to do it. So I come along here. I might as well futz around over here for a minute because I got to give my iron a couple minutes to dry it. So you want a fairly, you can make it as thick as you want it, okay? But you just need to come along here, fold it, sew it across. I'm going to iron it so it doesn't shift. Be right back. That's the right end. That's the right end. So first I'm going to give it, this cord's long enough. You guys come over here. You guys come with me. Come with me. Come on, you get out of the way. Oh, I'm only off by like 3 or 4 inches. What are we doing here? Is that going to show it? Is that going to show me anything? Okay. So I'm just gonna fold. I'm folding it over by like half an inch, an inch. It doesn't matter. It does not matter how much you fold that over by. And then you're gonna just go measure it if you want to. Don't measure it if you don't care. Hope you guys can hear me okay now that my back's to you all. That one's done. Whoop. I'm just gonna set that one there. Since I already figured out a way to bring the camera with me, I'm just gonna bring the second one over and do it too. So that's my straight edge. I ironed this earlier. This is already ironed fabric, so I don't have to do that part again. I'm gonna measure this one. I'm measuring the one that's behind me right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's almost exactly 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. I might as well try and do something right. But it doesn't really matter because only one side gets seen. Back over here. Throw you guys back in the corner again. Anyway, what else? What other topics do we want to talk about? Oh, we're going on to 4 o'clock. This actually, honestly, I think I'm doing more talking than working, which is probably good because my whole rest of my evening is going to be fighting with that big giant quilt. So you're going to come across here and just go. You're just going to do a straight line. So you're, oh, we're over here. Sorry. So I am just enclosing that. We're good to go. And then I'm going to come up here though. I'm just going to do it again up here. Oh, have fun with work. You don't have to put this one here. I'm just putting this one here because if and when I ever have to wash it, I just want this to stay nice and it'll stay nice. Doesn't matter what else is happening. Again, all the way across. It's funny. I kind of have this personal belief that if you I don't want to call it I don't know what to call it, but it's like if you spend, I think content like this Ouroboros person can actually do a lot to create mental health issues. And I think when people react to that kind of content, the way that we were seeing people react to that kind of content, it really doesn't help. And I think it's really sad because I know for a fact that a certain number of those people that were reacting to this content were either acting like Stevie said, acting like they were ashamed for their own reasons, or just doing it to get on the bandwagon, to get noticed, to grow their channels, to grow their content, to do the thing. And I think there was definitely I think there was a percentage of people. There always is a percentage of people in any community who are just doing it for their own benefit. Hi, Gail. Without worrying about what anybody else wants, or whether or not their contribution will damage the community or other people. But anyway, other than that, though, no, I like the tarot community. It's mostly really decent people just getting along to get along. Okay, back into my corner. Back into the corner you go with my camera. Got to get that cord out of the way. Ooh, that'll hook up right in. There we go. Now it's not going to flop around. So what we're going to do, okay, so what, this is just like any other thing when you're going to flip it when you're done, right? So I want these two to overlap each other by several inches, because when this is, I want these to be facing the correct direction, because if I don't do it that way, so I'm just going to go like about that, I guess. I'm going to go like that. Then I've already got this trimmed the way I want it, right? So I'm going to lay that down. Now, this does not, this open, this, we're over here. We're over here. No, not really some tea, but I was asked if there's some tea I can share. We were just chatting. I was kind of talking about some stuff that I kind of know about, but I can't really say too much because other people who are completely innocent and did nothing wrong can end up getting painted with a very shitty brush. But we were talking about Ouroboros and how some of her content really made things fucked up for some people. So what I'm doing for this is going to be the opening, right? Because I'm going to make a pillow, and that's going to go, I haven't made this is just the pillow cover, right? So I'm just eyeballing it. I've got a seam here, a seam here. I'm just eyeballing it, making sure that I have a nice amount of overlap. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to line them up. There you go. So it's going to be a pretty big, overlap, right? Not a problem, not a problem, not a problem, not a problem. Okay, it's going to be a pretty big overlap. It can matter if you plan on using an overstuffed pillow. Oh yeah, this is the front that I made. This is the front that I made. It's going to be a matching pillow to the quilt that I'm working on. This quilt has a full proper quilt top. It's not quilt as you go, which means I'm going to need all of this space to lay everything out so I can do the quilting. So you can put it in the center. You can line it up so this is where your opening is going to be. This is the opening. I know it's hard to see, but this is where the opening is going to be. You can line it up so it's centered. You can put it off to one end. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Okay. You can even decide whether you want you could even decide which direction you want the end to open to. I believe it's better to, yeah. Okay. So yeah, the whole quilt. Did you see the quilt? It's on the thing. So I am just eyeballing it because this is just a scrap buster project. And now I'm just going to come back. I'm going to do about I'm probably going to do closer to a 1/2 inch all the way around and just sew that up. I do have to pin it. There they are. I have to go pick up that thread that I am going to have to pin it because this is 3 pieces of fabric and we obviously don't want any of this stuff to shift. Now, the area here that's open, of course, I'm not swinging back for anything like that. But, okay. Now, now that the center's done, I can just move this a little bit, get a couple more pins in. There's no right number of pins to use. There's no wrong number of pins to use. It's entirely what works for you. Don't forget you do not have to flip this. You do not have to flip this because the opening will be in the other side. That's how you will flip this. You do not have to leave a space open. It's already going to be automatically open in the back. Anyway, I told Lisa I would be done on time. She's got her game at 4:30. She's got her game. Her game starts at 6. So I need to try and be done. I need to be done by the time she gets home so we have time for a proper dinner. We actually went and bought food for a change. That was weird. Okay, let's get that. So the 2 spots that I'm agonizing about are where the, was that in the right spot? There we go. I don't care if they're perfectly lined up. This is just the back, and this is a scrap project. The tarot community helps me feel connected after moving to a new city. People with similar interests, difficult to find. Watching you sew always inspires me to start a new project. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't do a lot of tarot for myself. I don't collect tarot decks, and I still find there's so many awesome people in the community. So it's not, you do not have to, it's not, you ever heard of that? Has anybody ever heard where when they're talking about video games, microtransactions or pay to win? This is not a pay to win community. There are people that have been super active in this community for years that only own a single deck that are just as much an active, ongoing part of the community. So I'm going to go all the way around. Then I'm going to trim it. This area, these edges will be exposed. I wonder if I should consider closing them. I could. Let's see. But yeah, okay, let's put it this way. A lot of unnecessary drama has found its way into the community over the years. And it's really sad, some of the names that are involved in this drama, who think like there's one person every time they're about to say something incredibly fucking unhelpful as a community leader. It's like, who fucking elected you? I don't think of myself as a community leader. My wife doesn't think of herself as a community leader. It's like, dude, I have a social media presence, and that's the only thing I'm doing here, right? But I think that's part of it. I make the reference. They have assigned themselves the paper passer outer. Remember that? Okay, you see this. This is a stereotype you see in kindergarten, and they show this in movies all the time, where there's always that one kid. Oh, blah, blah, they think that they are in charge of the class. They think that they are this class, that I am the teacher's pet, and the class would fall apart without me. They're the official paper passer outer. So I'm just going to do a back. I should have done a back stitch at the other end of that. Anyway, we're just going to go all the way around because we don't need to care. And like I said, under normal circumstances, I would say try to trim these to equal size, but I'm using scraps, so I get to have that wide margin of error because I don't have to worry about it. So I said this was 15. I'm taking off like an inch all the way, a total by the time I'm done, it's going to be almost an inch that's going to disappear off of this thing, right? I'm going to stay just inside. Let's stay just inside of this seam line that I did on the top because I can. If you are looking at this going, it's sad that it happens to every community. I used to be in the planner community, happy planner, etc. And there was one person who became really big, and because of her mouth, I ended up just stopping. I'll tell you right now, there's a few people in the community right now where it's like somebody pointed this out to me, and it's like every time you go check, there's a couple of people, every time you go check the content, they're still growing. They're still growing just by sheer inertia, I guess, just because when you see a big channel, it's like, oh, they must know what they're doing. They're a big channel, right? But every time you show up, it's new faces, because nobody sticks around past the first little while because they go, oh, this person really isn't all that fucking special. But anyway, no, here's the thing. There's always somebody that wants to. My God, Lisa's sister was like that. It was fucking sad to watch. Signed herself as the paper passer outer and hops on a fucking plane to the UK for her UK tarot tour, which was only about her only reason for doing it was because she was to get likes on the fucking internet. But that's, I can say whatever the fuck I want about her because it's my opinion, allegedly. But, oh, I just hit the pin. Let's see if I broke the needle. Nope, needle's fine. When you're sewing over the pins, the needle will usually miss it, right? But every now and again, you get a direct hit. That's why they're always so quick to say, take your pins out before you get there. I was just talking and not paying attention, and it was my own damn fault. But no, somebody's always going to, you know, there's always somebody out there that wants to be the official paper passer outer, and that's fine. But every now and again, you know, it's like Mean Girls, right? When you look at that movie Mean Girls, and I think I watched it once. I think Lisa maybe watched it with her once. When you look at something like that, it's like, okay, but how do people like that build up they become the paper passer outer? People, people start getting the idea that they're important, that this person matters. Everybody matters. That what this person wants matters more than whatever. If I don't do what they want, this will happen. If I don't do what they want, this will happen. It doesn't start with being a paper passer outer, but it definitely starts with this energy of it starts with somebody needing to feel validated, and this is how they validate themselves. But yeah, I don't know. I like the tarot community. Nobody's ever managed to successfully bully me, so I guess I kind of won at that. I do see it happening once in a while, and I don't like it, but I can't be on the crusade every minute of the day. Most people are smart though. I'm really making it sound like I'm really making myself sound like, yeah, if you stick around, if you stick around long enough, you find your favorite people. I saw a comment in a sewing video the other day, and someone said, it's nice to see you using pins in the right direction. I was like, what? I put them in whichever direction doesn't stab me. You know what? I tell everybody, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I come in. And yeah, it exists in the sewing world. Okay, I got two choices. I've got two choices now. I can trim this. You know how I do my things. I can turn this inside. I can turn this from the inside, and then I can enclose all my seams. I don't know whether I want to enclose. Okay, you know how I do the self-binding, right? Self-binding is when you take your inch. I could come along here. I've got two choices. Okay, I can come along here and then do the self-binding and cover the seams, right? Or I have zigzag. I have pinking shears, and I can just pink it, and that will keep it from. It's kind of its own bind. I can, and I'm debating on whether I should. I'm just using it backwards. The only reason why I'm wondering if I should is because I've got all these layers here. All these layers are going to be here, and I don't know that's going to cause. It's going to be on the back. No, this thick spot will then be on the front. I'm wondering if I should do it. Should I do it? Yeah, fuck you. It's a FAFO project. I'm not even measuring shit. Okay, I am not going to try too hard here. I'm not going to try too hard here. Oh, that's already an inch. This is on the inside. This is on the inside. So we're just, when you do a project, okay, what you can also do is come back and just do a quick bias around it anyway. I tend to, when I'm doing these kind of projects, just leave the, I just tend to leave it, do the pinking shears and just leave it. But yeah, I want to be able to wash it. And the minute I do, I want to be able to wash it. The minute I wash it, you know what I could just rip it. Okay. You know what I could have done is what I could have done is save myself one step. I could have pinned all this down and then cut it and then did this step without having to sew through twice. Let's see what happens. Let's see what we think. Take some bets. Is this gonna, okay, I know it's gonna work, but is it going to be super thick and heavy? My absolute worst case scenario is that I just trim it in another inch and start over and have a slightly smaller pillow. Okay, so, and don't forget, okay, let's flip this over. Here's where I'm turning the whole thing. Okay, like I said, here's where I'm turning the whole thing. Let me get this on. This should be quick. This should be really quick. I'm getting my shit out of the way just so I got a little bit more space because I've got to. I don't need to worry about making it perfect. Put that up there. Still start, no matter what kind of a faffle thing you've got going on, still start all the way to the end so that you can turn this properly. I am just lining it up as I go. Fabric still wants to go where I want it to be. Okay, let's do it. Okay. I think I just found a new way to do these pillows. I don't think it's going to fuck up the front. Well, that one popped out a bit, but it's not going to. I'm not concerned about the blue frame. I'm concerned about this area. So that's still fine. Do. Fold it. If you absolutely have to. You absolutely have to get your tweezers in there and hold it. You don't have to worry about this being perfect because it's on the inside. Turn it. Okay. I don't even care at this point. This is nice. I felt so proud of myself today because I realized that I can make the passport covers a different way from the book's instructions and it keeps most of the stitching hidden. Simple things. Oh my God, simple things make the biggest fucking difference. And also, like, don't forget, the first time I ever made one of these pillows, I sat down with a YouTube video. I watched 10 different YouTube videos. I sat down, okay, this makes sense. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, I'm going to follow along to this one video that was super, super simple. Stop and start and stop and start. It took me hours. Just like Stevie the other day. Didn't you say it took you 7 hours to make that one bag, right? I mean, I'm like, what? I'm 2 hours in on this pillow. It's not that big of a deal. If I were doing this pillow with a single strip of fabric for the front, back, three pieces of fabric, I wouldn't. If I did not make a basically a block. Oh, I didn't. I forgot. I got distracted and kept going to the end. If I were just using 3 pieces of fabric and not making the quilt design on the, not sewing together. There you go. If I was doing that and not doing the quilting the small pieces together and all that stuff, then this would have been done really, really quickly. But I like this. I hope it's the moment of truth is going to be when I try to turn around. I don't think these corners though. I don't think these corners are going to be very. They're not going to be very pointy because that's too heavy. It might be a problem. I just have to decide if I care. Okay, and it's going up and over that stuff. Almost there. Okay. Come on, go under. There, I remembered to do it this time. Ah, popped out of my tweezers. There we go. There's also little gadgets. There's also a lot of people refer to these as like an ice pick. They're just a little pick, and these work really well because they'll go into the gap, and you can just go right up, pretty much right up to the needle with it. But damn, just threw that on the floor. I'm going to pick that up so I don't step on it. There we go. Oh, yeah, this is looking good. Okay. Now, what they say is when you do the insert should be about 1 inch bigger all the way around than whatever you're making. So I'm going to double check. I'm going to double check my measurements. It's easier to get an accurate measurement while it's still inside out. I'm going to double check my measurements, and this is 16 by 21 and a half. Come on. What is this? I got to pack that purple thing, pokey thing. Yeah, purple thing. Yeah, the edges. I've got so much. You know what I use is just a chopstick. I use a chopstick all the time. So these are probably not going to be very pointy corners though. So I think I'm giving up the pointy corners in exchange for the for no well, that's not bad. It's not bad for a pillow. Let's see. Oh, I'm holding it upside down too, so I get to go drum roll, ha ha ha. Make you guys wait. Look at that. What did I just say? 16 by 21 and a half. Oh, that's perfect. 21 times 2 is 42. I need a. I'm gonna make my insert like right away. Yeah, I have stuff to poke out the corners, but I'm just gonna sit here and struggle because I don't want to use it. Yeah, I used the chopstick for the corners. My straw kept bending. So now I've got that as the back, that as the front. It's a lovely little. It's the corner. I don't think I mind it. They're pretty heavy. They're pretty heavy edges now because of the extra binding on the inside. But I think once the insert's in, and I said this was 16 by 21. 21 times 2 is 42, which is with the fabric. Now what did I knock down? Man, I am knocking down. Oh, there it is. Okay. Width of fabric is 21 inches in. Okay, I shouldn't say that as a definitive. Let's use the white. In a quilt, which in a regular bolt of North American fabric, the width of the fabric is, oh, see now that's 23 inches. That's fine. So I need a 16-inch piece of fabric. And my big ruler is still sitting here. How am I going to do that? I am just too fucking lazy to get up and go over there. I love that. I'm sure I saw a painting like that for about 80 bucks. Oh, there you go. Here, here, $8 for shipping. Okay. So my thing was 16 inches wide. So I just need to go to the 16-inch mark. Okay. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go, which side? Where is it? Where is it? 16 inches. Right about there. I'm going to trust. Let's do a trust exercise. Meh. This is my okay. I gotta go to the other table because I'm gonna fuck this up, and it's only gonna take me a second. So I'll be right back. Okay, 21, 22, 23. I'm gonna take off just the tip at the end too. Okay, now this is just a basic insert. So I've just got a piece of broadcloth here, and it is a little touch over 16, and it's just about 22 inches, but I already know, okay, what can matter for this? This is very forgiving. What really ends up mattering for this is if you intend to really, really super stuff your pillow. If you intend to have a really, really stuffed pillow, then you're really, then look at, don't come to me for the answer for starters, but if you tend to have a really overstuffed pillow, then you're really going to want to take your time. There's charts that you can look up that say if your pillow is going to be this size, then your insert needs to be this size. So don't. Okay, so this is already this is the width of fabric, which means it's already folded at the one end. I don't have to touch anything here. We're just going to go. Oh, I didn't leave anything for the seam allowance, so I'm still coming in at about the right size. Don't forget to leave seam allowance, guys. I forgot to leave the seam allowance, but it's fine. This is an insert. This is an insert made of my inexpensive broadcloth. If I don't like it and I don't like the fit, I can just pop this out. I can just cut it, get the stuffing back out. Oh, my iron's turning itself off again. Okay. That's done. Oh, turn the corner. This is just an insert, so I'm not concerned about the, I'm not concerned about anything else. I'm going to leave a nice wide opening because I'm using black thread and I'm not trying too hard because this is the insert, so it doesn't really matter. It's not going to get seen. There we go. That's done. Oh, have fun, Stevie. See you soon. Okay, all I'm doing right now is I made my, this is going to be the insert. So I'm turning it inside out because I might as well protect the seams a little bit. And then I'm going to stuff it. I'm going to stuff this. I'm going to stuff this. And I'm going to wrestle it back onto the machine. I'm going to stuff it, wrestle it back onto the machine and sew that. And then this will just pop back in. This will fold it on its own. And then I'm going to sew it shut. And that's it. And then I'm going to put it into that thing. So that's all that's left to do today. And I have time to do it. This is the quickest part of it. Okay. That part's done. Now here's the part that's going to piss me off. Here's the part I don't like. Oh, but I can get this out of the way. Watch yourself, Sheila. Oh my. Ugh. Okay. I'm saving that for a project for Lisa. This is all extra stuff. This is all extra stuff. That's extra batting. Oh, that's perfect, actually. That I'll put there. That I'll put there. This is a giant box of memory foam. Cut up memory foam. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? Is that going to work? Looks like it might work. This is not even a huge box. This is only half of my memory foam. I'm thinking I maybe need to put it on the floor, but I am just gonna, I was hoping to just start stuffing it in by the handful. I'm gonna stuff this in. I am way over here. You guys can't even see me at this point in time, huh? There we go. Hi, I'm over here. I am over here. There's got to be better ways to do this, but I don't make pillows often enough. So I am just literally stuffing this into the reason why I made a big enough opening. And I'm going to fill this up. I'm not going to have an overstuffed pillow. What I will tell you is that if you're going to work with the memory foam or any of this stuff, it is static city, static electricity everywhere. And I have that little box. I pulled a box out. This stuff here comes like compressed down. I've already made like 5 different pillows out of what's in this box here. And oh my God, it's like crazy. Well, that's what I'm going to do. No, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, you gotta stop. It's not bad. We're getting there. We're getting there. Bear with. Keep each other company. I'll be back in a minute. I gotta dive into this thing now. Oh, this is nice. Finally getting some of this shit used up. Okay. Okay. Just take your time, or you'll end up with it because it's static clinging to everything, right? Okay, so the good news, no, we bought it pre-cut. We found a deal. We got, okay, I opened up and got this. This is a full-size box that's been opened up, and I just taped it open. We got this came with this memory foam came in 2 boxes, and that's only the last of 1 box. This is super compressed. This little box here, once you open it, opens up into that. So what you're gonna do, what you're gonna do is you're gonna decide how full you want your thing. I do not actually want this super full, but I want the thing to be super whatever. I'm going to actually I'm not going to do anything over there. So this has been opened here and here. This is you guys are not going to get a good view of this, and you can iron this beforehand, but press it down. The really good news about memory foam, smash it down, smash that shit down, because it takes a couple minutes to pop back up, and while it's popping back up, get that seam in. Don't forget to back stitch. You really don't want this seam to split. If you are doing a designer pillow where you do not want this seam to show, then obviously there's a trick. There's a better trick. Okay. So now let me just put the camera back to see. So basically, this. So it's like, oh my God, Peggy, this is a scrunchy, ugly pillow. Smash it down, beat the crap out of it. What I would do, let me go get a decorative pillow that I did prop. There's that. Okay. This is where I sewed the end because I don't care. It's just going to be the insert. Nobody will ever see this, right? Oops, sorry. Hey, there's a thing with thread down there. Now this one isn't memory foam, but what I did with this one, and you'll be able to see, I did this idea here, right? The same thing that I showed you so far, except what I would, if this was the pillow with nothing else to see, then what I would have done was, before stuffing it, so sew it, flip it, right? Then come back and go from like here all the way around and put a seam in, so that when you come back and close the pillow, it's all matchy. This one here has been sewn all the way around. Okay. So this one here, I did the exact same way I did that pillow, that quickie one that I just did. Okay. Pretty sides together, sew it, flip it, go all the way around, and put like 1/8 of an inch all the way around, except where your opening is, so that when you come back to close the bag and you close the opening, nobody can tell where it was actually opened. Does that make sense? I'm probably going to do this one. This one's just regular. This one's just regular polyester batting, so it's already like so beat up. I do not have. This is one of Lisa's. I do not have a decent Peggy pillow right now, so I'm probably gonna. Well, this is gonna be my Peggy pillow, but anyway. The only difference, if this makes sense, I'm kind of mostly saying this for Gail's sake, and Gail's and maybe Stevie's, but Stevie's already gone. So yeah, so you sew it, flip it, leave the hole alone, but sew all the way around straight. Just do a straight stitch, because you're not going to be able to do anything else. Then after you've stuffed it and you do that and finish it, it's properly finished, and you have a tiny. This is why some of the nicer pillows have that all the way around. Is to bury the it effectively buries the at 100%. Hey, I have 22 minutes. I told Lisa I was going to try and be done by 4:30. So nice thing about memory foam. Now, nice thing about memory foam is that it's squishy. It's really squishy. So I'm going to squish this. Get it in there. This is going to seem like an overstuffed pillow. Squish that into there, just like you would a stubborn pillowcase. Don't forget, I've sewed everything down 5,000 times, 5,000 ways. That goes in there. That goes in there. Now fold that. You guys know this is pretty obvious what's going on here, right? So then you just wiggle and jiggle, wiggle and jiggle. Come on, get in there. Get in there. This is going to, because it's memory foam, this might be a little small because I forgot to leave a seam allowance. But I forgot to leave a seam allowance on the insert. But I don't think it's going to matter. Memory foam is really cool because if you just go like this and dig in it, go grab a center, dig into the center. And you can, I don't know how to describe this. You get in the center, you open your hand up and grab a handful of stuffing and pull it towards the edge. Dig your hand, push this inside out, until you can like work a handful of stuffing towards your hand and then get it into the corner. And don't forget, I smashed it down. It was already smashed into some stuff. So there's the finished pillow. So the corners, you know what? Honestly, with these types of pillows, it's quite common that the corners don't look or feel. They can look full once you fluff it onto your couch, but this is something else that you need to be aware of. This is something to be very aware of. Okay, because the pillow pushes up, right? This was, I mean, I hope you guys are going to be able to see this. Okay, see the opening here? That's the opening, right? Now, there's the oh, it's barely visible. Barely visible. Me and my not doing the right kind of fabrics. This is, okay, this opening here, this opening here is being ever so slightly pulled. That just the weight of, just the pressure of all this is pulling it ever so slightly. Okay, it's not. It's absolutely fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is why you need this to be like, this is like, what did I make? What did I make this? 6 inches? Yeah, this is why I folded it. This is why I did a 6-inch fold here. I did a 6-inch fold because that way, if it does pull back, if the pressure of what's inside of it makes it push this way a little bit, it's not going to be, you're not looking at that. You got plenty of overlap. What you don't want to do, you don't want this to be so overlapped that you can't get the pillow in. But as long as you can wrestle that pillow in, you want a decent amount of overlap, because as your pillow gets fluffed and shifted and moved and beaten up and stuff like that, you don't want the pressure. You see this sometimes, like if you go to places like Walmart or whatever, you'll see how it's only like 3 inches, because of course that saves them fabric. When you're making 10,000 pillows for Walmart, you want to saving 3 inches of fabric on every project can save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. Expect a certain amount of that effect. Welcome back. Yeah, it's nice, eh? So did you get to see the, did you notice the part where I did the insert? This has got a separate insert, which means I can now take this out. If I need to, I can take out the insert and actually wash this, which I will try my best to avoid doing because it looks so sharp, and the blanket's going to get washed, but I'm not necessarily sure that I want to wash this. But anyway, it's done. It's done. I'm happy. Total cost. Okay, let's look at the total cost. This is something that matters. This is something that can matter to a lot of people. Yeah, it's this part, when you're making a pillow, when you're making your own insert, they're super quick and super easy because nobody sees, as long as it's closed and a proper pillow, it doesn't matter if, like, that I just did white broadcloth with black thread. It's like, it was a quick down and dirty insert. Just what was I going to say? I got myself distracted. I distracted myself with something. Oh, okay. Cost. Okay. So my total cost on this, the stuffing, the memory foam stuffing was left over from another project. So that's 0. This is all scrap. So that's 0. That was left over from the backing of the quilt. So that's 0. I get that. Okay, it's fabric. I could be making things to sell with this fabric, but how much did it cost me to acquire this fabric? It cost me nothing. It cost me nothing to acquire this fabric. I already had it left over from doing the backing. 0. I cut two. I only used 1. So the total cost of this is the cost of a 4-inch strip of that, which comes from fabric that I already bought and paid for a different project, and this was extra. Save your scrap, kids. Save your scrap. Save your scrap. Save your scrap. But I mean, okay, if I had to be out paying for all of this, we're looking at a yard of fabric, and I don't know if you can buy memory foam by just the bag. A yard of fabric, however much memory foam would make the pillow, and a half yard of broadcloth, which depending on what type of depending on what broadcloth can range to as little as $2 a yard, depending on what kind you're using. This is better than that, but this is still not, broadcloth is not expensive. So yeah, so if you have lots and lots of scraps, if you have scraps and you have extra stuffing, batting, whatever from other projects, you could actually bring this down to almost nothing. But anyway, now what I have to spend the rest of my evening doing is I'm going to put this away and dig out this. And then I'm going to have a nice couch blanket. Tammy and I are writing save scrap in our notebooks. And I've still got scrap if anybody needs scrap. Right, I just sent out 3 nice big packs of scrap. So if you do need more scrap, just email me plpapez@gmail.com and plpapez@gmail.com. I think I've already sent you some. Yeah, I just sent Tammy some. Was it you, Tammy, that said that you were okay with the swearing fabric? Somebody said they were okay with swearing fabric, and I wasn't looking at the emails in the right order, and I didn't notice until like later, until after I'd already packed it and got it already paid, the shipping paid for and stuff. But anybody who wants scrap to do stuff like this, just say so. I think right now I've got a lot of black. I got rid of a lot of scrap between this project and packing up some extra big stuff lately. But yeah, so this is done. I'm happy. Now I have to get going. Oh my God, it's exactly 4:30. It is exactly 4:30, which means that I now have the correct amount of time because Lisa's got her game tonight. So I now have the correct amount of time to make sure that she gets properly fed. My scrap is yarn from crocheting. I'm saving it to make a Frankenwooble. Oh, English paper piecing. Yes. You know what? I'll tell you right now, sewing is a lot of fun until you get to the till and have to pay for the fabric. So I'll tell you right now, when I first started, any opportunity to get free or inexpensive fabric, I'm in the Vancouver area, so somebody would a couple of different times people put ads up saying I'm destashing and this is what I'm doing, and went over and bought like 20 yards of fabric at a time. Just like, okay, I know, and it's like it makes it. The stress of these types of hobbies is almost always related to the cost of the materials. If you already have a sewing machine, you're good to go. But so yeah. Something else that you can use your yarn scraps for. Yarn scraps make good stuffing for projects. You just wouldn't want to stuff things directly. You would want to put it into like a thing first. But anyway, I'm going to get going. It is 4:30. I did it exactly right. So now if I keep talking, I'm not going to do it right at all. But thanks for hanging out with me while I got this done. Next step is to do the quilt. Quilt is easy because it's done. I just have to I'm just going to do straight line quilting. So that'll be quick, a lot quicker than usual. Do my straight line quilting, trim it, and then bind it, and it's done. This is the unfortunate problem of these types of, I'm not as practiced at these type of projects, but yeah, and I'm still going to have this. I'll have a bunch of this as scrap when it's done, but yeah, that's next. That's my evening. Lisa's doing her game tonight, so ideally, if I'm lucky, I can get most of this done tonight. And that's done. So anyway, I'm gonna get going, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, we do not have a topic for Friday. We do not have a topic for Friday. I haven't thought of one yet. If anybody thinks of one, let me know. Otherwise, or maybe I'll just names in a hat or something. Maybe I'll just do a random conspiracy theory and see what the first one that is that pops up. But we'll figure that out. And I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good one. Bye.